Today we're talking about section 11.1. Today we're going to be finding limits, and we're going to focus on finding limits using tables today. Now, before we can actually find limits, we need to understand what they are. You can think of a limit as a warning. If you look at our picture here, we have two guys walking up and down the line. Now, if we notice at x equals 2 right in here, we have a hole in the graph. So the question is what's going to happen to these guys as we approach that hole, as we approach that x equals 2? Now at x equals 2, from either direction or up or down, if they keep walking and they get there, they're going to fall through that hole. They're going to splatter onto the x-axis. We don't want that to happen, so we need a warning for them. And that's the whole point of these limits. It's like a warning. What's happening as we get closer and closer to a certain x value? So let's go ahead and take a look at our first example here. We want to find the limits as x approaches 2 of x squared minus 4 over x minus 2. Now you'll notice some notation here. A little bit of notation. We have the limit as x approaches 2. So that's telling us where we're going. We're going towards 2. Now notice we can go towards 2 in two ways. We can come up towards 2 from the left, or we can go towards 2 from the right. So we need to look at it in both directions. We're going to use a table to help us see what's happening from either direction. Now if I'm going from the left, a number really close to 2 would be 1.999999. We'll just put 3 nines. That's directly to the left of 2. And if I go even smaller than that, I could take off one of those 9s, or even another one. And I'm going to keep going out further and further from the left of 2. I can do the same thing to the right. If I go just to the right, I could be at 2.0001, or a little bit further out, maybe just 2 zeros in there, or even further, maybe just 1. Now, I want a warning. I want to know what's happening as I get closer to that number. I want to know, where am I going to reach? Where am I going to get close to? In order to do that, let's fill in the table of values here. We need to find the y values. I'm going to use my graphing calculator to help me, and I'm going to use a little shortcut with the table feature. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the y equals, and I'm going to put in this equation. So let's try again. We're going to go to y equals, and I'm going to type in the x squared minus 4 over x minus 2. Now, I'm going to go to the table function, but I'm going to change a setting here. I want to give the table numbers to put in. So I'm going to go to table set. That's second and then the window button. And I'm going to actually turn this first one that says auto to ask. So I'm going to arrow and turn it to ask. Now when I go to my table, second graph, I get to put in the x values I want. So I'm going to put in 1.9 and 1.99 and 1.999. And I see I get some solutions here, 3.9, 3.999, and so on. Now, if x equals 2, we already know there's going to be no solution. We're going to get an error. There's no solution there. It's not possible. So now we'll go to the 2.0001, 2.001, and 2.01. And we'll get some more answers here. 4.0. 4.01. Okay, So now let's look and find the limit. What's happening as I'm approaching from the left? As I'm approaching from the left, it looks like we're getting close to 4 from this direction. We're getting closer and closer to 4. And as I'm going the other way, we're getting also closer to 4. In the other direction, as we're going this way, it's getting closer to 4 that way. So it looks like the limit as x approaches 2 is going to be 4. The limit, as x approaches 2 of this function is going to be 4. Because that's what number we're getting closer and closer and closer to. So that's the limit. This graph is going to keep getting closer and closer to 4 in either direction as we go to 2. Let's look at another example. The limit as x approaches 4 of 3x squared. Now, we need to approach 4 from the left and also from the right. So the 4 is going to go in the middle. That's what we're approaching. Now we're going to go just beyond 4, maybe 4.0001, 4.001. And then we're going to go just before 4, maybe 3.999. And we want to know what's happening as x goes closer and closer to that. Now, our equation is 3x squared. So we're going to go ahead and fill in our table of values for the same thing. So now let's go back to our y equals. I'm going to pause the video here, or I want you to pause your video here, and I want you to go ahead and find what all these equal. So go ahead and fill in the table, and then we'll check it from there. Now, you should have gotten answers similar to the ones that I wrote in green, and we can see that as I'm approaching from the left, it looks like the y values are getting closer and closer to 48, and that's as I go from the left side, they're approaching 48. And as I go from the right side, it also, as I look this way, it also looks like my numbers are getting closer and closer to 48 from that direction. So that means that the limit here, as x is approaching 4 of 3x squared, is 48. Go ahead and pause your video and see if you can figure out the answer to this one. Did you get 36 as an answer? Good job. All right, this is where we're going to end our video for today. We'll look at one more tomorrow in class, and then we'll start to find the limits from graphs.